Iran and the United States are hardening their positions. Tehran has moved to formalize its control over the crucial Strait of Hormuz, while Washington is now preparing for the arrival of U.S. troops in the region that could be used on the ground in Iran. But posting on his Truth Social platform this morning, Donald Trump said Iran is begging the U.S. to make a deal, adding Iranian negotiators better get serious soon before it's too late. Well, Pakistan today said indirect talks are taking place between the U.S. and Iran, but officials in Iran continue to deny they are negotiating with the U.S.
For
now, our policy is to continue resisting and to continue defending our country. At present, we have no intention of negotiating, and no negotiations have taken place.
We're
winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
We're going to talk more about this now with Middle East expert Aaron David Miller, who joins me from Washington. Aaron, thanks for taking the time to speak to us. Here we are now, almost a month into this war. What are your thoughts on how it has played out so far?
You know, the average length of an interstate conflict since 1815 is roughly 3 to 4 months. We're now a month in, and I see no indication or evidence that a serious negotiation that would provide a diplomatic off-ramp that both sides could accept or anywhere close to that. There's now talk of a major escalation on the part of the United States. The president has deployed additional options. And I don't see escalation, frankly, as increasing the level of pain to bring the Iranians to the table. So frankly, right now, I think we're nowhere.
Indeed. And I think that begs the question as well, what is the strategy at this point, particularly from the point of view of the U.S.? Is there one?
Well, look, the war of choice has now become a war of necessity. The triangular affair between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. has now morphed and evolved into a genuine international crisis, certainly an economic crisis. I mean, the straits are not closed, by the way. The Iranians are granting preferential access and appear to want to charge fees, so-called tolls for transit and passage. I think the Iranians submitted a letter to the UN yesterday that basically said straits aren't closed. We're simply granting access to what they consider to be non-hostile countries. I don't think there is a strategy. And that, I think, bespeaks a certain amount of reality, that right now there is simply neither Iran or the U.S. is under enough pain, nor do they see the prospects of gain of making real concessions that could begin to create a pathway out of this. So I think it's a question of endurance, and the Iranians appear to be willing to continue for the foreseeable future.
So given that, what about these talks that, depending on which side you speak to, are or are not taking place? Do you see those playing out in any particular way? And also, what exactly might they be negotiating?
I mean, I've been around negotiations most of my professional career, largely Arab-Israeli negotiations. But the truth is, to have a serious negotiation that leads to an agreement, you need three things. You need two parties that are willing and able. You don't have that. You need a sense of shared urgency. That is to say, there's an equal apportionment of hurry to each side's need to reach a negotiation and reach an agreement. And finally, you need a deal that both sides can walk away from and basically say they've won. I don't see any of those elements in place. Indirect negotiations through the Pakistanis, the Turks, won't cut it. You're going to need serious face-to-face negotiations. This has become highly technical. And frankly, I'm not sure either side right now is willing to commit the resources to do that. And again, can you, in effect, have a negotiation in which both sides are continuing to use military power against the other? I'm not sure that's true. I think, frankly, what would be useful if the two sides are willing to accept it would be a 30-day cessation of hostility, pausing of all attacks against civilian infrastructure and energy targets, and a period of relative calm where you could actually test the proposition that there is something called a deal that would create an exit ramp. I just don't see either side, particularly on the Iranian end. They think they're winning, willing to accept a 30-day cessation of hostilities. That's what's required.
There's also a question, of course, of Iran's leadership, which has been decimated over the past month. That begs the question, who's making decisions for Iran at this point?
I mean, I think that's right. And my colleague at Carnegie, Karim Sajapur, believes that Trump was looking for Iranian Delcy Rodriguez out of Venezuela, but what he's found is an Iranian Kim Jong-un, or maybe more than one Kim Jong-un. I don't think you have a single leader, and the state condition capacity of Mojtaba Khamenei, the supreme leader's son, and now new supreme leader, unknown. Ali Larijani and others in the security establishment have been killed. Mohammed Ghalibaf, is he able to bring along a even harder line Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps cadre to actually commit? I just don't think the Iranians right now are willing and ready, frankly, for a serious negotiation. And I don't think you can do this in phone calls on the back of a cocktail napkin or indirectly negotiated vis-a-vis the Pakistanis or the Turks. You need to sit down, create time and space to seriously address and test the proposition that you can, in fact, have a balance of interest. And again, one other point, Donald Trump's view of negotiations is not a win-win. His view of negotiations is that I win, you lose. And with that sort of mentality, it strikes me that it's going to make things even harder.
Aaron, thank you for that. That's Aaron David Miller speaking to me live from Washington. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.